Hey, chemistry students. This is a screencast about how to write and name binary ionic compounds. All right? So this is kind of exciting because you get to write and speak the language of chemistry. So to start off with, let's take a look at the periodic table again and just review a little bit. Remember, we looked at this stair step that divides the periodic table into the metals over here and the non-metals over here. So we talked about that. So being able to recognize the metals from the non-metals is very important. We also talked about how each column of the periodic table shows you, and you have to learn this by reading the periodic table, what charges these atoms form when they become ions. So everybody in column 1 is a +1. Everybody in column 2 is a +3. Over here in column 13 is, this was a +2. Everybody in column 13 is a +3. And then the nonmetals in column 17, everybody here is a -1, -2, and -3. All right? So the first thing we're going to talk about is rules for binary ionic compounds. So what do these words mean? Well, binary is just like how many wheels in a bike. They're going to be 2. So binary means 2 different elements in the compound. Ionic is talking about a metal, which form positive ions called cations bonded to a non-metal anion, which is negative. And a compound is going to be different atoms chemically bonded together. So what's going to happen is that the metal cation, which is the positive ion, is always named first. And then the non-metal anion, which is the negative ion, is named last. So here we have NaCl. So how do we call that in chemistry? What name do we use? So metal cations take the element name. So Na is sodium, and the non-metal anion takes the element name, but it ends with "ide." So regular old Cl would be chlorine, but because it's now an anion, it becomes chloride. So NaCl, we say, is sodium chloride. All right, so let's practice with some of these. CaCl2 would be, you got it, calcium chloride. Li3N, this is the metal and the nonmetal, so it's going to be lithium nitride. Alp is going to become aluminum phosphide. Mgi2 would be magnesium iodide, and Ba3As2 would become barium arsenide. All right? So that's actually kind of the easy part, being able to say the name from the formula. Now, let's try to look at how we actually write the formula from the name. So again, you've got to look at the periodic table. You have to have this in front of you. You have to know what the metals and the nonmetals are, and you have to know what the charges are, okay? So let's take a look at how we would do this. So what is the formula for lithium nitride? So this is the name now, and we want to be able to write the formula. So I know that lithium forms a +1 ion, and nitride forms nitrogen forms nitride, which is a -3 anion. I know this by looking at the periodic table and what columns they're in. So in order for the positive cations and the negative anions to equal each other with charge, I have to have 3 of the lithium +1s to balance out the negative charge of the 1 nitride -3. So I need 3 lithium +1s and 1 nitride -3. And how would I write that? I would write that as Li3, and this is now the subscript, which tells me that I have 3 lithiums, N. Notice that there's no charges anymore. And that's because the positive cations and the negative anions, those positive and negative charges have canceled each other's out. So there is no positive or negative superscript on this formula. All right, let's do another one. Sodium sulfide. So I look at the periodic table and I see sodium is a +1. That's because I know it's in that first column. And sulfur becomes sulfide because it's a nonmetal and it has a -2 charge because it's in that column. So I would need 2 sodium +1s to balance out the negative charge on one sulfide ion, which is a -2. So here are my 2 sodium +1s, my 1 sulfide -2, and so I would write the formula for sodium sulfide as Na2. That little subscript means I have 2 Na cations S. So Na2S. Again, no pluses or minuses in the compound formula because those positive and negative charges have balanced out and are no longer there because they are equal. Hope that helps. You might need to listen to it again. This is pretty important as far as being able to write and speak chemistry.